Hey crafty friends, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps. Now I love the emboss resist technique, and I'm going to show you two different ways that I did that for two cards. So we're going to start with I love this background stamp. This is the Falling Snow background stamp. I love all of the snowflakes. I love everything snowflake. So this is what we're going to be using. My first card panel, I'm going to start by just ink blending the background in pink. I'm using some Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated inks. This is Guava. And so I'm just going to ink this whole background. And then we'll be doing some stamping. And then the second one is going to be just a tad bit different. You are doing the same technique, but you are getting two different results. So what I want to do is capture this color underneath with my embossing powder. We're going to be using some clear embossing powder for both of these techniques. So now I have that in my MISTI. I did let it dry a little bit. I'm prepping it with an anti-static powder tool. I'm using Honeybee Stamp's clear embossing ink. I'm going to ink that up twice, and then you're going to be able to see these beautiful snowflakes. Like I said, I'm going to be using some clear embossing powder. So once I put this on here and heat this up with the heat tool, it's going to capture that pink ink underneath that we did all of that ink blending on. So you could leave your background like this. This is absolutely gorgeous, but we are going to go one step further. But first I'm going to show you how I did the second background. So in my MISTI, I have a piece of white cardstock. I am going to ink up this background, the Falling Snow background, with that same Guava ink. I'm not going to remove my cardstock or my stamp, my stamp. I did prep my background with the anti-static powder tool, and now I'm coming back in with the clear ink. So now this is going to capture this color. It's going to seal it basically with the clear embossing powder. I'm going to sprinkle that on and then just heat that with my heat tool. I do leave my heat tool going when I'm doing something quick like this because it gets nice and hot and it melts it super quick and does not warp your paper nearly as much. But as you can see, that clear embossing powder is melting, but it's the pink behind it. So the next step is to doing our ink blending. We have to do the resist part of the embossing. So I'm using Seafoam, Surf, and Ocean inks for both of these backgrounds. I'm starting with the ocean here, and it's the darkest. So obviously this is turning a beautiful color of purple. I'm going to keep that dark at the bottom, and then I'm going to use the surf for the top part because it is just a little bit lighter. And as you can see, those pink snowflakes are starting to pop through. Now, once you're done ink blending, just lightly buff off the ink from your embossed images. And as you can see, you could really see those snowflakes coming through. Now, this one has the white background, and I will be using the ocean and seafoam, I believe, on this one. And it's not changing the background because clearly we're using a white background, but now you've got this beautiful turquoise against that pink. So you can do this two separate ways. I think this one right here is my favorite, but I really love like the turquoise and pink together. I think it's super, super fun. So I am going to do the same thing of gently buffing with a dry towel to get the ink that's going to sit on top of your embossing powder. So just like I said, gently buff that off. I'm going to finish just ink blending the top there. But isn't that so, so pretty? I love how these turned out. And Emboss Resist is super simple to do, and boy, you can get some dramatic looks with it. Okay, for the sentiments, I'm using the super cute Sweater Weather sentiment stamps. There is coordinating dies. I am going to be doing some gold embossing. So again, prepping it with an anti-static powder tool, using the clear ink, sprinkling on the embossing powder, and then heating it with the heat tool until it's nice and melted and very shiny. So here are the coordinating dies. I'm going to tape those in place, and then I can just run that through my die cut machine, and we have got some fantastic large size sentiments. I'm going to be using the Scalloped A2 card frames. I'm using the second largest one. I'm going to die cut from both of these panels. I'm also going to take the largest scallop frame, which is just one larger than this, and I'm going to die cut twice from white cardstock because I want to have like a double layer of scallops on my card base. So I'm just going to tape that in place. Here's the second one, and then just run that through my die cut machine. You could keep those little outer frames for another project later because they're really, really cute too. But I'm not going to use those for this card. Now in the Tag Your It Holidays stamp set, there's 2 sizes of snowflakes. And I'm going to ink those up with the turquoise and the pink ink. And I will use the coordinating dies to die cut those out because I thought I wanted to add just a little something extra to go along with those larger sentiments. So I just stamped a few of those in each of those 2 colors, and then here is the coordinating die. But this is a cute sentiment stamp for your tags. Lots of fun little sayings, lots of a few cute little images. Really a fantastic stamp. Now I am not actually making this a Christmas card. This was just inspired because pretty quick here it's going to start getting cold, and we are definitely going to need some sweater weather. Okay, so on my white A2 size card base, I adhered the white scalloped frame that I talked about earlier that I die cut. Then with some foam tape behind the inked and embossed panel, pop that up. And then behind the sentiments and the snowflakes will also have some foam tape. I do like a lot of dimension on my cards, but you could obviously go without this much dimension. So I'm going to do that second card again, which is my favorite because that turquoise and pink is so pretty. But I think that purple and pink is absolutely gorgeous as well. I'm going to pop that sweater weather down here on the bottom. And then we've got those colored snowflakes. And I'm just cutting little pieces of foam tape because I do want these to have some dimension as well. And I'm just going to put 3 on each card. I feel like that's a really good odd number to go with. And then I'm going to add some more detail with some Simply White Nuvo crystal drops. I like to add detail with either that or sequins, and I think I tend to lend towards sequins more often because I forget that I have Nuvo crystal drops. And the Simply White was just perfect to bring in just a little bit of something without adding another color. So I'm going to add that to the centers of my snowflakes, and then I'm just going to bring that out and add some dots onto the background. And I really like how this look turned out, adding this little extra detail. Really just kind of livened up that whole background. That nice white popped against that purple background, and then this turquoise background, it just really stands out. So I'm just going to add a few of those in little clusters. And then you want to make sure to set this aside to dry. I would let it dry overnight before you would stick it into an envelope or something like that because you don't want to smush it. I mean, it'll dry quicker than that, but you want to be careful. But here are those beautiful cards with the Emboss Resist 2 ways. I love how they turned out. I love that pop of pink on this card. And then I love that this is almost, it's not quite tone on tone, but you kind of get that feel. So they turned out super, super cute, and this is really easy to do. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I hope that you feel inspired, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye!